Hello, it's tomorrow, in a manner of speaking. Welcome to Beauty by Tanith Lee from Raider's Blood, the Spoilers edition. I hope you paid attention to what I said yesterday and went away and read this story. Because here are the spoilers. As I mentioned last time, we have got Beauty and the Beast retelling in the far future. Oh, if you didn't watch the video I posted yesterday about Beauty by Tanith Lee, the no spoilers edition, go watch that now, because I'm carrying straight on from there. So we've got Esther living in the Beast's castle of futuristic science fictionness, where the Beast is an alien and she has seen him uncovered swimming in the pool. You've got this pool, it sounds like it's like one of those natural outdoor pools. It's got ferns and trees from his native planet, and he's taken off everything, he's gone swimming, and she watches him get out, walk out through the plants, and then she runs back to her father's house and she gets sleeping medication to sleep for, I think it's 10 days. There's a significance to the number of days. I think it's on the 10th day she wakes up and images of him, who's unnamed entirely in this story, which I liked. Images of him have intruded on her dreams, so there's no longer point in sleeping anymore. That fact that the beast alien is never named is an added beauty to the way this story works. This is a mythological type story, Beauty and the Beast is, and the elements that make it mythic include things like de-identified symbology. In my opinion, I'm no academic in these things, but to me, a myth needs de-identified symbology, and yet at the same time, you need to make that symbol, that character, identifiable and relatable to the individual. And I think they've done a pretty good job with the Beast here. Better than many other mythological retellings do, because they tend to make the Beast relatable and comprehensible, under a curse, etc. Here, it's a real individual to an extent that many of those mythological retellings fail. Esther herself is relatable because she's a character who doesn't quite fit in with her family. They love her, they care for her, she's part of their world, but one of her sisters is a brilliant musician and the other is brilliant at something else which I've forgotten, and her father is this merchant. She's not found her passion. And much like a book I read recently, Victoria Holt, being a child who hasn't found their passion in a family where everyone has their passion makes you feel like an outsider, which is part of how she was given the rose to go to the alien's castle. Okay, that's segued. Anyway, she wakes up at her father's house. She's slept off as much as she can of her trauma. We don't know what the trauma is. We don't know what he looks like. And she wakes up and she lives with her family, and finally a message comes to her. It's time to come back to the alien's house, to the Beast's castle, and she goes. And then we have this unlayering, slow reveal that is 100% Tanith Lee and really good. Every time you read a step, and you've read it, haven't you, since I talked to you last, so you know. You've got an unraveling of a step and you go, aha, that's the thing. And then there's the next layer. It's like, oh, that's the thing. It's like, wait, that's the thing? You're going to love it or you're going to hate it. And I've read a couple of reviews this morning before recording this. People do either love it or hate it for very specific reasons. Now, the first unraveling is that the Beast is not hideous. The Beast is actually beautiful. Feline type shape, generally bipedal, similar to human, but covered in a fur that is black as black can be, except the tips with the golden, so you've got this rippling golden effect. Parts of the skin aren't covered by fur, the palms of the hands, which are 6-fingered, and the lips, the eyes. She makes a point of pointing out the genitals so your brain doesn't go where you don't want your brain to go, and the palms of your feet, again, 6-toed. The description of the Beast makes it seem glorious, and that's part of the horror for Esther, because as Tanith Lee points out, if an image of this alien had come to Earth in primitive times, it would have been worshipped with terror as a god, because it was so beautiful, so much more beautiful than humanity. And Esther, who had fallen in love with the person inside the suit before she could see their skin, had in her mind the feeling of herself, maybe not the greatest beauty in the world, but quite pretty, bequeathing herself to someone less attractive. So there's a power dynamic there that Tanith Lee obviously recognizes well, and while she paints it with a light touch, it's an important power dynamic in between two people. In modern terminology, I found out that people rate each other. I was at a festival once standing with some guys and going, oh, she's a 6, she's a 9. It's like, what? Explain this to me. I'm a grown up. I haven't heard of this. It was explained to me. It's interesting. And it can be a bit demeaning if you're on the receiving end of a 5, for example. But it's also basically a symbol of what humanity has always done. Beauty has always been a rating that we've used and a way of describing people to other people. I've never particularly been fond of it, and I often don't see beauty as other people do, but that's probably part of being a painter. Anyhow, the beauty as part of the power dynamic is something that is very much in this story. So when Esther thought she was going to be the more attractive one and she would be granting herself as it was to someone who was less attractive, she was cool with it. Once she realized that the alien, was far more beautiful than any human could ever be, she felt she could no longer bequeath herself. They could remain companions, intellectual friends, lovers in that non-physical, non-romantic sense, but she wasn't going to be able to cope with that. And you've got this unraveling. And then we get the truly alien, the truly science fiction element, where the beast explains that his race, as they achieved better mental powers, better compassion, better spiritual evolution, they became as a race sterile. Impossible to bring children to fruition under natural circumstances or even under mechanical circumstances. They would always reach 3rd trimester, I think it was, and then die off. So eventually those 3rd trimester fetuses were cryogenically frozen in light of one day discovering how to bring them back to life. Then he talks about people of his race going out and mating with people of others, and you go, aha, now I see. But no, Tanith Lee would never do something that straightforward to you. It's not that Esther has been brought there to be the partner of an alien species for relief. It's not that she's been that because they can somehow have kids with alien species, bringing some vitality into their race. Other authors would do that. Other authors have. Not Tanith Lee. You've read this, right? You need to read this one. So what this alien race discovered was that the cryogenically frozen fetuses, if implanted into the womb of a miscarrying woman or alien, apparently they've got a whole number of races of other aliens as well as humans across the universe where this works. If a woman has a miscarriage at an early trimester and certain medical steps are taken, then one of these cryogenically alien fetuses can be implanted. She will carry it to term. And they've found something odd, that on birth it resembles the host mother. But at some point in their development, the inner spirit, if you will, psyche of their alien race will come out, and that person who's been brought up thinking of themselves as human, as appearing human, will no longer be happy among humanity. And it took me a long time to figure it out. They practically had to spell and underline the message before I figured out, oh, Esther isn't human. She thought she was, but way back in the beginning when Tanith was establishing the story guidelines, she mentions that Esther was particularly beloved to her father because she so nearly hadn't existed. Her mother's thrill-seeking lifestyle had meant that she had almost miscarried, and it was only by the best of medical attention and luck that they had managed to keep Esther, and now she was alive. Tanith Lee punched me in the solar plexus with this one because I didn't see where it was coming from. It was beautifully read. This one I am going to have to reread many, many times, and you are either going to love it or you're going to hate it, because that seems to be the two options that people have for this one. Thank you for watching Beauty, the Spoilers Edition, and read good books and read Tanith Lee. Do yourself a favour. There are good books, and then this Tanith Lee.